almost I'm saying last but not the least, is in terms of people. I think in pre-management, till the time you got your first degree, several times it's individual excellence and individual brilliance which counts a lot. But I'm sure you would have realized in management, during the course of management education, that several things will have to be done as a team. So, individual brilliance and intelligence will take you up to a certain level, but beyond that it is emotional skills and social skills which are required for succeeding in a corporate environment. Extremely important. Several times, several people fall out for several reasons because of inadequate appreciation of emotional and social aspects of relationships. So the kind of jobs that you're all getting into as managers, as leaders, will be dealing with people. And today, dealing with people doesn't necessarily mean that you'll be reporting to one guy and there are several guys reporting to you. Today it's become a networked relationship where you may have to increasingly collaborate with several people, both virtually and face to face, and get the job done. You will not have authority over most people whom you are working with. And one thing at least the function like HR has taught is that we no authority over anybody, everybody has authority over us, including freshers for joining. So, when you go and pick up a job, you will end up in a situation where there will be generation gap. There will be a whole lot of people who will not immediately collaborate or cooperate with you because you come out of a great institution, you have a management degree and you've been appointed as so and so and you've been authorized to do this job, etc. But there's something which is beyond that. The chemistry, the rapport is striking. It's so therefore, how do you figure that out? What are the opportunities you create for yourself to get into a state of readiness where you work in a collaborative way? Several times the collaboration is misunderstood to be collaborating on a virtual platform. That is on Facebook or all these things are collaborative platforms. Right? They are very important. Learning to collaborate virtually, team working, it has been very difficult how to teamwork, to get things, to accomplish things over text messages. It's also important, but along with that, how to collaborate face to face in real time to get things done. That's the next level of collaboration, which is extremely important, particularly in a network environment. Because as we have seen life for freshers playing out based on our experience in the last few years and based on what we have received as feedback from several people like you who have joined in the recent past, is that they tend to figure out that there is what is called as a role clarity. Role clarity means what is expected from the job. And they are unable to come to terms with that. If they come too much to terms with that, then there is no variety at work. It's very predictable. So once the role is very clear, then it becomes very predictable. The predictability just goes up, and he says, no, it's not exciting anymore. And another one is, people look for entrepreneurial environment. Entrepreneurial environment is risky. Entrepreneurship is all about taking risks. Right? Now, if you want freedom, an entrepreneurial environment has its risks. Not about risks. Look for only the best part of it, freedom. Any freedom comes with risks. Next aspect connected to the first one, you're looking at work, looking at variety at work, everyone looking for challenges. Right? Now, challenges would mean a lot of stretch assignments. And we are looking at stretch assignments. What comes in the way is the work-life balance. Right. Looking at stretch assignments, and people have no time for either one of them, either work or life. Sometimes you figure out you're not very clear which is part of what, the life is part of work, the work is part of life. You go through all of this dilemmas in life. So some of the dilemmas you will have answers. If you ask me now, I will not be able to answer because it cannot be explained. Some of these things will have to be experienced. And when you experience, you'll figure out where the balance lies. I mean, I'm sure the balance is a broad band. Somebody is in India, somebody is in India, somebody else in India, somewhere else on the country. Final aspect is, there are several jobs which were not there about 20 years back. Can you give me some examples of jobs that were not there about 20 years back? What is that? BPO. Online at the call center was not there. Okay. Then? Okay. Even 10 years back, e-learning was not there. Smartphones were not there. CPO. Chief Belief Officer. Okay. So people are not believing anything there, not believing everything there. People generally believe, so there was no need for a belief officer. Fine there.
Chief Information Officer.
Information Officer was not there. We never had Right to Information Act, RTI. There was nobody developing an apps on a smart device which would tell you what to do when. Treasury Department. But nevertheless, you had your money in your wallet and going and putting it in the bank. Okay, fine. Now look at several jobs that are not there. The mobile revolution, not there. Cloud was not there. Social network related jobs were not there. The entire Facebook was not there. LinkedIn was not there. Twitter was not there. Huge businesses, all these businesses. For example, a manufacturing business to become $1 billion business, it must have taken about 20 years. Whereas Apple hit a penetration of 1 billion in 2 years, which means every 15th second the phone must have been sold somewhere in the world. Right? Now, you have learnt. Most of these things that most of us who are doing some of these jobs in some way or the other, never learned this 20 years back or 10 years back. So, what you learn will certainly have a shelf life. The shelf life of somebody who learned something 20 years back, if it was assuming that 10 years, what do you think would be a shelf life of something that you learned today? How many years? Any wild guesses? 4 years. 2 years. So, at least you don't want to learn anything new for 4 years, just say 4 years for that. Come out of a heavy, rigorous learning regimen here. You need a break. Certainly, yes. Break for some time, work and go back. So, if you look at jobs, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, jobs will be there. I'm sure you all will be doing some job, you all will be earning money and growing in life. But I'm sure it's going to be very different from what you think you may be doing or how you imagine that things would turn out based on what we have accomplished or achieved at this point in time. But for most of us, life has changed in extremely complex and unimagined ways. So I have every reason to think that if this has been the pace of change in the last 20 to 25 years, I think in the next 20 to 25 years, if at all anything is going to change faster and perhaps far better. Well, on the one hand, you keep hearing about news, and unfortunately, there are fewer encouraging bits of information and news than scary ones when it comes to economy and business and growth and IIP and several numbers, economic growth numbers, this number, everything else globally. Europe, you never know what's happening. Greece, you never know how long the world, European Union will support Greece, right? So, for example, an economy like US, there is a ratio called the debt ratio, household debt. Household debt was 135% 5 years back. They will bring it to 100% 2 years from now. I'm sure it will make sense to most of you, but just for get all of us on the common page, it means that suppose your annual income is 1 lakh. You had a debt of 1.35 lakhs a few years back. To bring it down to 1 lakh, it will take another 2 years. That figure is very low for India. Fortunately for India, it's only about, if you have an income of 1 lakh, your debt was only about 20,000. So, on some of those terms, Indian economy, households, much better off. You are not spending and consuming on borrowed money. Culture is changing here pretty fast. So there are segments where consumption on borrowed money is high. The good part of it is most of the consumption, at least about 75 to 80% of it is in the housing sector. So after all, there is some kind of an asset. It's not being consumed or fully consumed and wiped out. So it's something which there are certain assets. So there are several such challenges and several understanding. So corporates will look forward to a kind of a balanced, generalistic, a holistic, a comprehensive view from you on several of these dimensions when it comes up. So to make a more quickly, to move up and start handling more challenging and more interesting and variety, it's important that a lot of additional work is done by you. Stay network, both within and outside, make sure that you collaborate and get relevant information, present the value proposition appropriately, which is something which will stand you in good stead. Apart from all innovation, inclusiveness, integrity and governance, diversity, people are important factors. Early on, find a mentor, find a coach, make sure that select the first organization, good organization for its brand, how much value gaps you are. It's extremely important because first move, first career, learning that happens to first time, is extremely important. Of course, entrepreneurs, it's fine. Startup guys are very good. Somebody is going to set up something on his or her own, it's outstanding. That's something that will be a very different, very unique experience. That's a different skill and different competency also. Because therefore, I think only a small percentage of people venture into it initially, and some people venture into it later. Just to make you all up, I'm throwing it open to all of you to keep me awake, asking questions. Very difficult session, I understand. Saturday afternoon. And I'm sure the institute is expecting you to be here tomorrow also. Yes, good or bad? I got bad, so that's it. Did I hear that? Foggy, huh?
A top-notch corporate stalwart, Mr. R. Venkat Narayanan, President, HR, IT and Education, Rane Group. As Group Head, HR, IT and Education for $500 million Rane Group, Sir leads the strategic initiatives in HR and IT to support long-term organizational capacity building, leadership development, and innovation of business growth. He has an extensive experience in HR, IR, learning and development, OD, and change management in SAIL and Mascon Global. Sir graduated from the University of Madras and did his PG from Calcutta University. An alumnus of Royal Institute of Public Administration, London, he has also undergone the Business Leaders Program in IIM Calcutta. He has many recognized certifications to his credit. He is associated with professional forums such as CII, NHRD, SHRM, ACMA, EFSI, and ISTD. He is on the Board of Studies of University of Madras, Department of Psychology. Sir, we are eager to listen to you. The podium is all yours.
Thank you and good afternoon. It's a pleasure and privilege, an honor to be with all of you here. I just met your director or the promoter, Dr. Bala, spent some time. I think he's a great institution builder, and it was very inspiring spending a couple of minutes, maybe about 10-15 minutes with him, and following that up with several meetings I've had and interactions I've had with your professors and directors. It's wonderful connecting back with the campus. I think the theme today is connect, engage and grow. I think it's a very, very well thought through theme. Now I'm totally lost in the midst of so many of you with a lot of expectations and aspirations. And what is it that I should be? Is there anything in the system that I have to use? No.
Yes,
Yeah.
you can use.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Another round of claps. It's nice to clap after lunch session because we wake ourselves up and you sort of woke me up as well. You know, good. Now, little sense I got talking to Kritika and Ajay, I think two who had come to meet me and spend the last couple of hours, is there is an expectation in terms of what corporates look for in management graduates or leaders who are taking up a corporate role. Am I right in my understanding? The idea of engaging with the HR people, and I suggested a small correction that anybody, not only HR, but engage with everybody from an organization, all senior leaders, including HR, is to understand from them what corporates look for, and maybe let them get an idea of the kind of students or the kind of products that this institute has. Am I totally right in my understanding of your expectations? Now, if that is so, I have some points which I've sort of put together and I've been sharing with some institutes, so I thought I'll start with that. Now, recently, there was a study done by one of the premier agencies, and the study was about what qualities do people look for in a corporate leader. So I'm sure in some way we'll be looking for those qualities in all of you, because you're all future leaders. As you know that India is very uniquely placed in terms of its demographic dividend. I'm sure several others would have talked about it, all the generations, several generations working together, and the Gen Y or the millennials, that you're all, you form half the population of the country, or maybe close to 2/3 of the population of the country, and you're sitting on a huge opportunity on the one hand. Then on the other hand, you also keep hearing about terms like deleveraging. I'm sure many of you wanted to specializing in economics, finance, more particularly finance marketing. So keep hearing terms like deleveraging, then contraction, then recession, then slowdown, slower growth rate, deep slump in the last 9 months for the first time. So you never know. And you get all kinds of crazy numbers for economic growth projections, from 5.2% to 9.1%. You never know. None of the numbers are reliable, perhaps. Every time the number is given out, the number keeps getting altered after a quarter, because the cycle is such that the government takes 100 days to sanitize the numbers and come up with the right numbers and let people like you and me get an idea of how we grew, right? So, in this kind of a situation, if you see today, we are in a world which is very unsettled. So they say, what is the normal? What is the new normal? I'm sure you would have heard of this term. The new normal is being abnormal. I hate to say this coming from HR. Usually, you use terms like abnormal, etc., with something which is not very pleasant or not very pleasant to hear or not an accepted term. But, well, the new normal is learning to be normal, and there is a lot of abnormalities going around in terms of behavior of the economy, people, etc., etc. So, one important quality that the industry looks for is a lot of integrity, ethics and values. The first quality. It's extremely important. Today in business, people place a premium on integrity. Not sure if you've heard of. A study was conducted recently by an international agency on what youngsters like you look for before taking up a job with a company. The first career choice. People said the first one is they look for an ethical organization. An organization which is known for promoters of repute, where if you spend a considerable amount of time, it adds a lot of value to your CV. Forgot the name of the agency. I'm sure you can look up, it would be there on the web, or I'll send it across. It's a Europe-based agency. They did a worldwide study on what graduates from premier schools world over. It had a sizable chunk of a representative sample from Asia, India, Singapore, etc., etc. They look for a company with good integrity as a first career option. And a lot of other aspects that came up. One is, what do you look for in the first job? Is there scope for learning growth? Is that an organization which you will be proud of after a while? About which your family would be proud of and your subsequent employers would be proud of? Several times you find that the salary that is offered is a function of demand and supply. I'm sure I don't have to carry coal to Newcastle because you're all marketing students here. Pricing is a function of demand and supply and an aspiration. Right? A certain product that command a premium in the market because they're positioned so. There is a value that is attached to it, there is an experience that is attached to that, there is a brand experience, there is a brand. So, several times in the first career, salary alone shouldn't drive your decision to pick up a job. That is one part which is extremely important. The second is innovation. Now today, if you look at a country like Israel, surrounded by all good friends, okay, right? Now you couldn't have hoped for a better geographic location to be in. And that's the country that's filing the largest number of patents. Everything innovative, a lot of things innovative that happens from the country, and what we learn from a country like Israel and several other developments which have taken place in the world is a desire to bring about disruptive innovation, a leader-like quality. Today, if you dig deep into the strategy of several organizations, they are all working in various ways with the team. Some may announce to the world, some may not announce to the world, some may have said something here, something there, but they are working on innovation. They are trying to figure out how to create that disruptive value proposition. How to make that orbit shift. Companies moving around in one area, moving around in another area, that's called as an orbit shifting innovation, an orbit shifting move. Now, how, as management students, as future leaders of such an organization, you would be adding value? Are you keeping up to date with developments in this field? Are you updating yourselves with what this innovation piece is all about? How is what are we doing in the business of education, what are we doing in learning, etc., etc., etc. Conversant with the term, conversant with operationalizing innovation. Third I is being inclusive. As leaders, it's extremely important that they look for an inclusive behavior, an inclusive philosophy. On the whole, an inclusive approach. That's number 3. Number 4, the world today has become very diverse. So there are no longer silos, no longer collaborations that happens amongst a particular section of the population, whether within the organization, outside, etc., etc. Diversity is part of the day, and diversity in Indian context is seen only as gender diversity, but it goes far beyond that. How comfortable you are in terms of collaborating across diversity of all kinds, because sooner or later, and even now in several organizations, it's a global workforce and it's a global times that we work to. How comfortable are you with that kind of a work environment? Have you had any experience opportunities or understanding opportunities? If not practical solution, at least solution at an intellectual level to the challenges that are likely to come across. It's an aspect that's important. That's in terms of diversity. Now, next factor that comes to my mind is governance. Today, I'm sure as students of management, aspiring leaders, you would have come across a lot of governance-related challenges which are coming up. Whether it is in the financial world, whether it is in the business world, I'm sure governance continues to play an important role. In developing economies or underdeveloped economies like ours, in earlier days, governance was not given too much of importance. You could do anything and get away with it. There was no enforcement. You can violate several laws. Tax laws, it's labor laws, it's environmental laws, safety, pollution, etc. But today, it's important that when you come out and when you start getting into doing a job in any of those places, governance is extremely important. My reason for bringing up this is some of those things which receive inadequate attention at the student stage, but the people expect you to be masters as soon as you join an organization. So perhaps during your internships, I think you might like to spend some more time. I'm not saying that companies are fair. Who says that? All is fair in life. So they expect that what theirs come from here and such and such place, and he knows all about governance. Maybe you may be hearing the term for the first time. And there are experts who are great in creating conditions, products, solutions on the edge of law, but not illegal. You never know. When you are walking on the edge, you never know when you will fall. Any wrong step, there will be no margin of safety. So, if you get into such a situation, it's going to be tough. So, companies expect a certain level of awareness and more than awareness, a perseverance, fighting capability to make sure that you stand for good governance in organizations. In fact, whatever little I heard, this institution itself is an example of good governance. They have taken several steps in terms of making sure that there is a very good level of compliance. Because compliance in the field of education is extremely tough. And educating people to comply with the country laws is the next level. So it's going to be extremely tough. And the other piece